All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
All right, everybody, breaking news. Welcome on in to Chapman Sports Network. The San Francisco Giants and Buster Posey have just pulled off the biggest contract in San Francisco Giants history. We've got Willy Adames coming to the San Francisco Giants. 7 years, $182 million. Getting everything going. The band's rocking. Welcome on in, everybody. This show is brought to you by Chapman Law Group. Check out Chapman Law Group in Marin. They are located in Marin at 415. Let me pull up their number here. 415. This is a quick broadcast. We're not even ready for it, so we don't have, where the heck's their number? Hold on. Chapman Law. There we go. 415. 613-9483. 613-9483. Give them a call for your legal needs. Well, everybody, great news. Giants signed Willy Adames, shortstop from the Milwaukee Brewers, to the San Francisco Giants. It's really what the Giants needed. It was a huge deal. 7 years, $182 million. Buster Posey said he wanted to get a shortstop. He got his man. This is the best shortstop in the free agency period. Now this allows the Giants to go after some other things. This is a huge move, people. This is a big, big move. Willy Adames had 32 home runs last year, drove in, I believe, 112, something like that, runs. I'm going to pull it up here. Willy Adames. Let me get his information here. Guys, sorry, we're not 100% prepared. This was quick and happened just in the last 10 minutes. Willy Adames to the San Francisco Giants. So come on in. Welcome in, everybody, as we discuss this. I'm waiting on my crew to join us. We'll have them joining us shortly. Lou Marston, Los, is on his way to getting back Saturday afternoon here. It's only 2:30 on the West Coast. And if you're just joining us, Willy Adames to the San Francisco Giants. And let me see. I just need some help in here. I got to get my guys in here so I can do a few other things, get some tweets out. And I am about to pull up. Let me see if I can bring up. Come on, why don't we have Willy Adames baseball reference? What's going on, Google? Hold on, baseball reference. Okay, Ryan, get that link to Los, or to get that over to Lou. Sorry. Come on. Oh, that's why we don't have it spelled right. I spelled Willy Adames. I missed the E in there. Willy Adames. That's why I was. Hold on. One sec, guys. I want to Adames. Willy Adames. There we go. That looks a little better. That's why he wasn't pulling up. I misspelled it in haste and had Willy Adames. And here's Willy Adames. And let's bring in Lou Marston to the screen. We welcome in Lou. Well, we'll wait till he's ready to go. He is ready to go. We add in Lou Marston. What? Hey, Lou, big news here. Buster got one of the top free agents, Willy Adames, had a 3.1 WAR last year, 32 homers, 112 RBIs, 21 stolen bases, 29 years old, signs a 7-year deal for $182 million. This gives the Giants, what you really need is a shortstop in the middle of the diamond that is now you're clicking, because now if you go ahead and add a Corbin Burns, you're competing possibly. And I think if you get a Burns and one more type of pitcher, whether that be a Walker Buehler, Nathan Eovaldi, you start to put yourself in position to compete for a wild card. So what's your thoughts on this, Lou? You're muted, by the way.
I think, you're talking about one player. I still think we probably need at least one, maybe one more hitter and at least another pitcher. So let's hold up the brakes for a second. But Dan, one of the things, it's a good first step. Let's see the next step. But here's one thing. We complained about Chapman's deal, right? 6 years, $25 million a year. This is $26 million a year for 7 years. And I don't want to be a hypocrite, but again, two different things. One's 29, so he's a lot younger. Second of all, this guy can steal for you. Another aspect that Chapman doesn't do. He can hit the homer. Another aspect he doesn't do.
Well, Chapman did hit 27 home runs last year. You got to.
Yeah, 6 when it didn't even matter anymore. So I think, I thought this is a great signing for what we needed, but it's probably step 1 of 4 that we need. You got to remember.
Right. Well, the first thing you got to do though is let's look at it this way. It is a move. Okay.
I agree.
It is a move that we can look at and say, hey, something was done. Okay.
It's a step in the right direction because we've been pretty harsh.
Yeah. So the fact that Posey has got his man at shortstop, that was what he said. The team needed a shortstop and they wanted to get a shortstop, and they didn't settle and go after Hassan Kim. Now they may still go after Kim as a second baseman. If they are looking to do that, then they're going to be looking to trade some of their younger assets. So I think this is a move. I don't remember. Do you remember when we did our show where we picked Adames, where we had him going?
Yeah, I think we originally thought he was going to be a Dodger because I think so many people were convinced being cheap, the Giants were going to get Kim. I think what really comes down to it is Kim's not available, until late May, early June. Giants can't wait that long. We can't, we did the same BS last year with Ray, where we waited till July and it sort of fell on our face. Plus, I think the Giants and the Giants fans are sort of, these guys off injuries. Enough is enough. I don't care if the guy lives down the street from the ballpark. If he's coming off an injury, there's a reason why other people don't like him. You know, so I think if you're going to take a chance and you're going to sign Kim, say Kim was $16 million, spend the extra money, get a stud who's healthy and is going to help the lineup right away. And that's what we need.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the fact that they, I see some comments in here like this one, MM forever. Love it. Giants staying mid instead of a rebuild. They've got to either go much further than this, or they've got to, you can't stop here and just become a potential wild card at the bottom of the pack. You got to add, remember, you lost Blake Snell, so you got to replace Snell with pitching. I'm thinking, Lou, what I said on the Juan Soto video, if you guys didn't check out the Juan Soto video, I said the second place team to Juan Soto is going to pivot fast. One of the pivots was a Willy Adames. And Buster may be smarter in all of this in not going for Soto, which the Giants aren't ready for Soto, but go get 3 or 4 guys. Instead of spending $700 million, you just spent $182 here. Okay, now you can go get Corbin Burns for, say, $200 million. Call it 218, and it pushes it to $400 million for 2 guys. Now what you need to do is go out after you get Burns, go get a Max Fried. He's not going to cost you $200 million. He'll cost you $150. Now you're at $550. Okay. Now go get somebody else like another, heck, go strip Teoscar Hernandez from the Dodgers. They want to give him 3 years, probably 75. Give him 4 years, $100 million, or give him 3 years, $100 million. Take him away from the Dodgers, and now you got a team, and you've spent less than you would have spent for Juan Soto. So this is what I believe the Giants could do. There's 2 options. We've said pick a lane, Lou, right? Either rebuild it or go ahead and go after it. Now, if you're going after Willy Adames, you're not doing a rebuild. They are not doing a rebuild, period. You signed the left side of your infield. You have the left side of your infield signed for the next 6 years. Chapman and Adames. This is clearly not a rebuild. So, if you're the San Francisco Giants, go get yourself Corbin Burns right now. Go get yourself Max Fried, and go get yourself Teoscar Hernandez or Anthony Santander, and then start trading away some of the other pieces and start building this thing. I am not a fan of Fitzgerald sliding over to second base. I do not like Tyler Fitzgerald as the everyday. I think you can go. I'd rather go sign Sung Kim. If you saw the video we put out earlier this morning, go put him at second base. Let's get some contact players and move Tyler Fitzgerald as your super utility. He can play all over the diamond. He can play all 3 outfield positions. He could play 3 of the 4. Heck, he can play all 4 infield positions. Tyler Fitzgerald can play 7 spots. So if you use Tyler Fitzgerald in the right way, he can give a Chapman a day off here and there. He could give Adames a day off here and there. He could give Jung-Hoo Lee a day off. He could give Ramos a day off. He could give Matos or whoever the other outfielder, or Yaz. Hopefully it's not Yaz. But Tyler Fitzgerald should not be an everyday player as an everyday position. You can play him 5 to 6 days a week, but move him around. We look at Adames' stats here. Okay, Willy Adames had his biggest offensive season last year with 112 RBIs. You could see that there highlighted. If I can blow it up for you a little bit. 32 homers. He did hit 31 in 22. So Willy Adames has some power. He's a career 248 hitter. He hit 251 last year. So he's going to give you similar production. He does strike out a lot, okay? He does strike out a lot. So the left side of your infield is a strikeout machine. He struck out 173 times last year in 688 plate appearances. That's a 25% strikeout rate. That's right up there with Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman, let me pull up Chapman's K rate.
And Dan, while you're seeing that, 2 things I just wanted to bring up, because, we're all sort of excited. First of all, he plays in Milwaukee, which is a home run hitting park. So I don't know what it was, how many he hit in Milwaukee and how many he hit on the road. And number 2, I could have swore about a month ago the Giants were going to cut payroll for what you're saying, get 2 studs. We're going to be $100 million over payroll.
No. Listen here.
How would this not be maybe just the only guy really we get?
It's possible. Now, the cutting payroll was when they said cutting payroll, remember they were over the luxury tax last year.
Yeah.
They still had $67 million to spend. This contract,
26.2.
182 divided by 7. Is that what it is? Let me look. Yeah, 26 million. Okay. So there's still 67. There's still 41 million left to spend on an AAV. And that doesn't include getting rid of Yaz, which was a wasted $9.5 million, in my opinion. I don't understand that one whatsoever.
Yeah,
when you're
it's
looking
not
to
my money, I don't care. But I'm just saying, it's
Okay,
you want to get 2 stud pitchers. I think both of those pitchers are probably going to be between 30 and 35 million.
Well, you can afford one more pitcher and still stay under it. Okay. Now, if you move off of guys like Yaz, Flores, you can move off the catcher, Murphy. You can move off of one of the Rogers brothers, especially the lefty Taylor. That's 11 million. If you can somehow move 25 million off of your payroll and add it to the 41 million, you're right back up there where you were before you signed Adames with 66 million left.
All right.
Now you go get one more pitcher. That's Burns at least. You got to replace Snell. So you got to get Burns in here, and then you need to get an outfielder with some pop, or you need another infield. You might need a first baseman. You might need a guy like Paul Goldschmidt to step in on a low contract on a 1-year deal. You don't have a first baseman until Bryce Eldridge comes up. Bryce Eldridge is, in my opinion, he's 1 year away. And I'm not blocking him with a 3 to 4 year contract first baseman, but I think Paul Goldschmidt would be a good holdover. Ben Bamboo, I see you. Burns, Sasaki, and Santander. The one thing
I'd love to get
Santander, switch hitter, he would be good. Now, Adames 25% K rate. You also have Chapman 24%, and then you also got Ramos up there. I'm okay with my power hitters having 20+% strikeout rate, but
we'd be back on top like usual with the strikeouts for the Giants. And then can I say one other thing? I'm sorry. Everyone keeps bringing up the last couple nights, Manaea. Manaea already played for us, guys. A lot of these guys, he played for us. He opted out, went somewhere else. They discovered a new pitch. I don't think he wants to come back. Plus, Manaea, after such a great year with the Mets last year, he's going to be like 25 million. I'd rather spend 10 million and get someone like Frieda Burns. So I wanted to just bring that up because Al talked about it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go right ahead. I'm just tweeting some stuff.
So, you guys got to see that, But no, hey, it's a step in the right direction. I think, if you guys been listening to the show, we knew something was going to happen eventually. And what makes NorCal Sports Network different, hey, it's a Saturday, 2:00. We're all probably watching football, and kaboom, big news. And we're on within 5 minutes.
Yes.
So that's one of the things. But hey, it's a step. I think we need at least 3 more steps, because you got to remember, other teams in our division and other teams that we're going to be competing against, once the Soto thing is announced, it's going to be like a frenzy, And I think maybe what the Giants did is they realized, and we don't know. I mean, Jeff Passan's the one that I know reported it. The Dodgers might have been saying, hey, guys, let's get him now. We're not getting Soto. But now this is a big tool off the board. So now people that don't get Soto, who probably had Adames maybe as their second or third choice outside of pitching, he's gone. So I thought it was a great move that way.
This is a great move by Buster, because Farhan, remember when Judge was set to sign in 23 season, during the 23 season, you also had all the shortstops available. No, that was the 22 season. 22 was the shortstops.
Yeah.
But Farhan waited and waited and waited on Judge, and he had nothing left to go after. By striking early, knowing you're not in the Judge sweepstakes, you go after your guy. because I'll tell you what, the moment the moment Soto signs, if it's not with the Yankees were going to try to pivot, or the Mets or whoever lost out on Soto were going for Adames. And I'll tell you what, this Adames deal, my guess is other teams wanted to go no more than 6 years, and the Giants were willing to go 7 to get him. I don't think anybody else wanted to go over 6. So this is a huge move for the San Francisco Giants. Again, breaking news, Willy Adames is a San Francisco Giant pending
physical. And we've heard that before with the last super shortstop we tried to sign.
Pending physical. I think this one will be okay. Somehow I don't think this one. I'll tell you what happened on the Carlos Correa deal, guys. If you want to know what happened on the Carlos Correa deal, it was 13 years and everybody was excited. It was what, 330 million, something crazy like that.
326 million or something.
And the Giants didn't get any bounce from it when it came to tickets, and ownership started, crapping bricks in their pants.
Out of desperation too.
Yeah, crapping bricks in their pants, and they said, figure a way out of this, Farhan. We're not going with this. So there you have it. But this is the exciting news for the Giants. If you want to, say it looks like they're going to be at least trying to be competitive. Now, I will be very disappointed, Lou, if this is all they do, because I would rather go with a full rebuild than just be a middling team. Because, yes, you got a little bit more production at shortstop now, but you also lost a superstar pitcher in Blake Snell. So they've got to replace that. Fuji Simeon, our man, says, would you have liked Severino to have signed with San Francisco? I would not have been against Severino. My only problem with Severino is he's been injured a lot. From 2019 through 2023, he only threw like 200 innings, and last year he threw 182, I believe. So are you getting healthy Severino? Excellent pitcher. If you're getting injured Severino, a little bit risky.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a great point about him. The Yankees, 2 years ago, he was their best pitcher. Better than Cole or any of them. The Yankees let him walk. So there's always reasons behind that, So, and you've got to remember, they signed him a 3-year deal with the first year and opt out after the first year. Yeah. So, and did you happen to see the super chat by Forever?
I was just pulling that up. Sorry. At least 3 more steps. Thanks for the comedy. Stop lying to your audience. You guys at least 10 players away from the Dodgers, Padres, D-backs. Stay mid. Okay. Thank you for the donation for the super chat. First of all, I don't think we're lying at all. We just got done saying if this is all they do, they're still a mid team. They're not going anywhere. You haven't improved the team. If this is all you do, you have to look at it as they are going to add pitching because they lost Blake Snell. I think Buster Posey's plan is I'd rather have a workhorse than a guy that only throws 5 innings, average per start in Blake Snell. If you can do the old-fashioned San Francisco Giants World Series championship era, they had starting pitching that went deep into the game, usually into the 7th inning, sometimes more, but averaged over 6+ innings a starter. It saves your pen. The Giants bullpen has been decimated recently because of overuse. So are we saying that the Giants are with the Dodgers? Did you hear that from our mouths that they are with the Dodgers, Padres, or D-backs? No. We know that they're still behind all 3 of those teams, but you have to start somewhere. You don't sign 3 or 4 players in the same hour, okay? So the fact is they made a move. They got the premier shortstop in the free agent market, and some could argue that maybe you got the second best player offensively in this free agency.
Second or third, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, you got Hernandez, Santander, and Adames. Those are the other three besides Soto. And he plays a more important position than Hernandez and Santander.
Yeah.
You have to say
shortstop's key.
You got the position you needed a guy. Okay, now you got to build around him. So what we're saying here at NorCal Sports is go get a Corbin Burns. Go sign. Look, Matthew, you got it. Pete Alonso is out there. I don't think the Giants do that because they end up blocking a Bryce Eldridge, but that could mean that could mean a if you win and got an Alonso, for example, then maybe he becomes your DH down the road. But if the Giants are willing to spend $700-800 million and really become a force, you could definitely see that the Giants and Corey Cooper, I agree with you. I just mentioned that. I think a Goldschmidt would be a good fill-in gap.
I would love Goldschmidt. He won't cost as much as Alonso if you can get a starting pitcher.
You need a starting pitcher. You need Burns or Fried, period, if you're going to replace Blake Snell. Your pitching staff is not that great. You've got Logan Webb and what? You have really nothing after Logan Webb. I mean, think about it. Birdsong is unproven. Harrison is unproven. Yeah. Who else do you got in that rotation?
Well, I'm not sure who's starting and who's going to the bullpen. Last year's big pickup so he could start was a disaster.
Right.
Right. So it really depends,
Yes. So this is
this also might start a lot too. Like I said, the number 2 or number 3 best offensive players off the board. I'm surprised from this there might be some other action before the Soto announcement. But once Soto's announced, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a frenzy.
Right. And let me pull up this super chat here. Hold on. What will Mark Graves said, what will it cost the Giants if they sign another Q qualifying offer player? It's I don't know what draft picks it is. It's you lose a draft pick or two, plus you lose some international money. So I'm not sure exactly. Thoughts on Hyson Kim getting posted? Well, I'm glad you asked that because go check out this video. Hyson Kim, 14-minute video that was posted this morning just after 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We talked about that. That's getting a lot of views. So everybody go watch that video, comment on it. I like the idea of a Hyson Kim. Actually, it would not shock me one bit if he is signed here within the next few days for the San Francisco Giants. And that Hyson Kim, you're going to need a guy that makes contact. You've already got 3 guys that strike out 25% of the time or better in your lineup, and that's Chapman, Adames, and Ramos. Lee, and if you put Yaz in there, there's another guy with a high strikeout rate. So you've got to find guys that make contact. And I don't even know. Do you know what Patrick Bailey's strikeout rate is, Lou?
Well, it depends which side. I know, right side, it was bad. It was really bad from the right side. Left side, which is his natural side, was a lot better. I'm
pulling it up right here. Last year.
Can it tell you the split, right, as a righty and a lefty on strikeouts?
Yeah, it'll tell you the split, but I am going to just put it in overall. He struck out last year 100 times. Actually, he struck out 100 times in each season. How's that?
Ooh.
He struck out less last year than he did the first year. So 100 times in 448 plate appearances. His K rate is 22%. So you got a lot
Fits right in with us.
Yeah. So you have to go out and find guys. Hyun Kim struck out at a rate of 16.3% in the KBO. Now you go, well, that's the KBO. How will it go translate over to Major League Baseball? Well, Jung-Hoo Lee struck out in Korea in the KBO. I've got it right here. He struck out 7.7% of the time. When he came to the major leagues last year, he struck out only 8.2. So it wasn't a big difference. So if you add 1 or 2% to Hyun Kim, he's still 17, 18% K rate, which is acceptable and fits in with more along the lines of the Padres and Dodgers hitters last year. So this is a really key point, and I think this is a start for the Giants to maybe make some better moves. The Iman report donates $5.99. I'd like for a first baseman catcher to rotate with Bailey. Bailey would thrive better in a 1A, 1B setup. Yeah, that's very true. Very true, Iman. Yes, we are in agreement there. Guys, tell me what you think. What's the next move for the Giants? Let us know. The chat is moving. We've got a college football Saturday going with Championship Saturday happening. Arizona State won today, and so
big win.
Good news there. But we're going to keep it here on baseball. We know there's a lot going on. We appreciate you joining here. We've got almost 500 people. You heard that right. Almost 500 people watching right now between YouTube and Twitter.
Nice.
So it's a big topic. San Francisco Giants signed shortstop Willy Adames to a 7-year, $182 million deal. As you see it scrolling along the bottom there. I want to know your thoughts, though, guys. Tell me what you think the Giants need to do. Tell me what you think you need to do. Producer Ryan, I see you in the chat. Los just got on. He needs the link. I can do that. So we've got over 250 watching on X and 250 in the here on YouTube. So we are cooking it. Let me see if I can get this link over to Los real quick.
And Don, I love what you're thinking. I just wanted to bring some up that one of the chats. Don, if we could get another bat through a trade like Vladdy Jr., you got to remember he only has next year and then he's a free agent. One of the things me and Dan were talking about with trades is we got to get guys that we can actually then re-sign so we're not giving up young talent just for basically a rental of a year. But if we could get Vladdy, maybe sign him to a 3-year extension, I'd be all in. You know, you guys got to remember last year, Vladdy at one time for 2 months was the best, except for Judge, was the best hitter in the American League. He can carry you, and that's something the Giants need. And imagine a lineup where you have Vladdy protecting our brand new stud and Chapman. Now, Chapman, instead of being the main offense, has a little help, which would really help the Giants. Go ahead.
Right.
Sorry about that.
We got another one from Fuji Simeon. Are the Giants out on Burns now with the Adames sign? I don't believe so, Fuji. I think they have the money to and still stay under the luxury tax. I think Burns is next. If you watched NorCal Sports Network during our free agent prediction show a few weeks ago, I had Burns coming to the Giants. I think it makes more sense now than ever. The fact that Buster Posey knows he's a catcher, my goodness. He knows you can't win without great pitching. He just let Blake Snell walk. He's not letting Blake Snell walk without going after pitching, because you can go ahead and get Adames, but if you rely on the pitching staff that you currently have right now, you're a fourth place team, period. You have a shot now that you've got Adames. If you go out and get Burns, you actually put yourself in position to compete for a wild card.
You'd have the best, except for Soto, you'd have the best pitcher on the free agent market and probably the second or third best player. That's a huge step in the right direction.
Yeah. And guys, keep it here. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to be hitting 4,000 subs here soon, and we will be offering San Francisco Giants tickets to a game.
Nice.
We've got tickets picked out, and they are ready to go. So when we add to the 4,000 subs, we'll give those out, and we've already given them out for $3,500. Our winner was Fuji Simeon. He won tickets to the Cincinnati Reds. Fuji, I'll need you to email me to NorCalSportsNetwork@gmail your contact info so that I can digitally send those tickets to you. So Fuji says,
I'm fired up. It's sunny. You know what I could use right now, Dan? Besides getting some help on this chat, it's a beautiful day. We should celebrate a beautiful, beautiful yogurt shack. It'd be
there
perfect.
You go, Yogurt Shack.
3:00.
Yogurt Shack. There you go. Join as a member like Mark Graves, Robert Boyd, others. Join as a member. It's only $5 a month, and you get some extra videos that are not put out to the public. You'll get discounted on our merchandise and some other things. But just for joining for $5 a month, we'll send you 2 gift certificates, a total of $10 to the Yogurt Shack in Danville and in Lafayette. Well, Los, all of a sudden it's 2:15 in the afternoon and 2:20 right in that general ballpark. I think it was first announced right about 2:50. Jeff Passan broke it. All of a sudden, everybody else was Bob Nightingale and some of the others, Heyman. They're all start hitting it within minutes that Willy Adames, he's the first big domino in position players to sign. And the Giants got him. So what's your thoughts on this, Los?
Well, I had to cut my workout short as I saw the news, and I didn't shower, so I stink right now. But here I am.
It's a good thing we can't smell you.
Definitely. It's a very good thing. But yeah, hey, it's a domino. It's definitely it's a big move for a pretty big player. I would love to come in here and do jumping jacks and be overly optimistic about this move, but I'm fairly consistent about the type of player I want in the lineup, the type of hitter I want in the lineup. And while I like Adames, I don't love him because are we going to get 2024 Willy Adames, or are we going to get 2023 217 Willy Adames? People thinking that he's going to hit 40 homers in this ballpark. Again, we say that all the time. If you put up big stats in a hitter's ballpark, you're not necessarily going to do that at Oracle. But it was a move that needed to be done. I would caution and say that last year in the offseason, Giants fans got very excited because the Giants spent money. Just because you spend money doesn't mean it's going to equal more wins or better team. They still have a lot of work to do. And my thoughts is I prefer that they would go after starting pitching. I would prefer Fried and Burns to be here. And if they could do both of those as well as Adames, then that's pretty damn good. So for now, solid. Don't hate it, don't love it, but solid.
Yeah, I think it's a move that signals they're not doing a rebuild. And
yeah, that's for sure.
My take was and still is there better be more, because if this is all there is, I'm not happy, because if this is where your money goes, you're still a non-playoff team, in my opinion, and you circumvented the rebuild, which would put you in position to become very viable franchise for several years, like the Houston Astros did, like the Baltimore Orioles did. You have to pick a lane. We kind of coined the pick a lane phrase. We ought to trademark it, actually. Pick a lane. But guys, the Giants need to now add, because you've already committed to, you're trying to win, in that you have $50+ million going out just in two positions, your left side of the infield. You've made yourself a very strong left side of the infield, but it's also a very strikeout heavy left side of the infield. And now you need to go and fill the other positions with guys that make contact. You've got 3 hitters that strike out 25% or more of the time in Chapman, Adames, and Elliot Ramos. You've got to now get contact hitters. This is what Buster Posey talked about. So there is a Hae-Sung Kim who's posted from Korea. He makes contact. He hit 304 in the KBO. That'll translate to about 260 here in MLB. But if he can hit 260 and make contact and get on base and use his wheels, because he has good speed, he stole over 30 bases, now you have a different type of player. You've got to find contact hitters. Your outfield, if Yaz is in the lineup, which would be a disaster, you have 4 of your 9 hitters with a 25% K rate. So they've got to find guys that make contact. Luis Matos is a guy that makes contact. He's got it, but this type of swing path that this team has, they've got to make changes. And Patrick Bailey is a guy who struck out 22% of the time. That's a 5th guy if Yaz is in there. Your first baseman, who's going to play first base? Is it going to be Paul Goldschmidt? Are they going to sign a Paul Goldschmidt? Are they going to go with Lamont Wade? Are they going to go with Wilmer Flores? They've got to do better than this. So,
yeah, that's kind of what we've talked about, is getting a lineup conducive to the ballpark, based more on batting average, speed, athletic ability, more than power. Just looking at Adames the last 3 years, 173, 165, 166 strikeouts. So while he's going to bring some power to the team, especially on the road, and he is definitely more of a middle of the order presence than they've had, Dan, he's another strikeout guy to go along with Chapman and Ramos. And if they continue to get guys like this, they're going to continue to be the same team they were last year, which is leaving a lot of men on base, relying on the home run to score. And that's not the way we here at this channel think that they should go about it. So they need balance. They need a little bit more speed and contact hitters to balance up this lineup.
By the way, Paul Goldschmidt, maybe not the right guy. Last year, 26% strikeout rate. Lamont Wade last year, let's check it. Lamont Wade, he struck out 90 times last year in 401 plate appearances. His strikeout rate, 22%. See, this is a problem. This is a huge problem, because you're filling your lineup with guys that strike out a lot. So what does that mean? When runners are in scoring position, they don't come home.
Yep.
They go back out on the field.
And in the playoffs, we outlined the teams that were advancing in the playoffs had less than 20% strikeout hitters in their lineup. They put the ball in play. And, for all the glamour that Freddie Freeman and his game 1 home run was to win against the Yankees, the Dodgers were fundamentally a better team than the Dodgers, and they put the ball in play. That's why they won the World Series. And that's what it takes to win in October, or to even get to October. So, again, he's a piece, but they need more.
Anthony Santander, he would be a guy that only struck out 19.3% of the time. That's better than, a Goldschmidt 26% of the time. I don't think you can have too many guys. If you already have Ramos, Chapman, and Adames and Bailey as your everyday players, those guys are all striking out 22% or higher. That's almost half your lineup. If you put Yaz in there, you now have over half your lineup that strikes out a quarter of the time.
Got it.
This is a, not a recipe for, a strong offense. Yes, you're going to get the occasional 2-3 run homer. As Gary Lamb, Main Event Mania. Welcome on in, Gary. Good to see you. Yes, Adames does hit a lot of 3-run bombs. Hopefully he can translate that in, Oracle is not a horrible park for left-hand or right-handed hitters, but it is not Milwaukee.
Not at all.
So Fuji Simeon says, should Giants pursue Santander and Burns if possible? Absolutely. You got to get Burns. Okay, you got to get Burns or Fried, period. If you've already signed, you went for the qualifying offer with Adames, it sounds like the Giants are not thinking future because they're giving up draft picks by signing these guys. And again, repeating for the umpteenth time, if this is all the Giants do, this is not a good offseason because you got a little bit better at shortstop, but you're worse at pitching. You lost Blake Snell, a 2-time Cy Young Award winner, and arguably, if the not even arguably, if the Cy Young was on the second half, if they had a first half and a second half, Blake Snell was the runaway winner, the second half Cy Young Award winner. So he was injured. Once he got well, he was probably as dominant. He pitched a 5-6 game stretch, Los and Lou, you guys remember well, as good as I've ever seen. Maybe as dominant as Sandy Koufax. The guy was unhittable.
Bob Gibson. I think his ERA was .81.
It was ridiculous.
In like 6 starts.
He was
unhittable. He had quality starts. He gave a Giants chance to win, even though the Giants didn't win. That's more of the offensive problem. But no, he was actually someone when he pitched you wanted to watch because you knew you'd be in the game.
Now the Giants still do not have the guy that that comes up to the plate and you're going to the restroom and say, wait, I'm going to wait. I'll
like Ohtani.
Yeah. Probably the next guy in that ballpark there's only a handful of ball players like that. There's Judge, there's Ohtani, there's Bryce Harper. I even put Kyle Schwarber kind of in that category because you never know what he could do. It's not like
amazing.
He's a great hitter like those other guys, but you look at a Judge, a Soto, an Ohtani. The Giants don't have that, and they're probably not getting that. There's nobody out there right now that's available. Matthew says he thinks Max Fried wants to come back to Cali. If the Giants offer him enough, he is very likely candidate. Yeah,
would love that. I'm big on Fried.
Now Fried is less expensive than Burns. Okay, the Giants really only have one lefty. Well, no, they got Robbie Ray. That's right. They got Robbie Ray and Kyle Harrison. So the Giants rotation. That's right. I forgot about Robbie Ray. Let's say they add a Corbin Burns, and you've got Corbin Burns and Webb. Take this away, Los. I got to grab a phone call real quick. Go ahead.
Yeah. Lou, right now, if the season started, their 3, 4, 5 arguably would be Ramos, Adames, and Chapman. Okay, 3 right-handed hitters. Okay, no balance. Not right, left, right, or left, right, left. Right, right, right. All 3 guys strike out a lot. All 3 guys have some power. But again, you see where I'm going with this. There's a flaw to that lineup. They're going to,
and then
they're going to,
knowing the Giants, they'll probably say, "Oh, well, we have a lefty in late night Lamont." I don't want late night Lamont. Yeah,
not at all. Not at all.
I completely agree.
Those are everyday starters that they're going to be in the lineup, and it's not the best thing in the world to have right-hander as your 3, 4, 5. It just isn't. Average pitching that make mistakes over the plate are going to get beat by those guys. But good right-handed pitching is just going to keep the ball away. And Ramos is the only one that consistently goes to right field out of those three, in my opinion. So, again, I like Adames, but realistically, he's a 248 career hitter. And I think you guys know me well enough to know that I'm not that big on people that have career years in their contract year and get glorified and get the big money. And then what do you know it? The next year, they're not as good. So remember, Adames hit 217 the year before. I don't know if it was injury related, but I can tell you, I had him in fantasy and I dumped him by June because he was hitting about 180, 190 for most of the year. So let's see. Dan, while you were gone, we were just saying that there's a flaw in having your 3, 4, 5 hitters all right-handed hitters that strike out right now. Right now it would probably be Ramos, Adames, and Chapman as your 3, 4, 5. No lefty, and nobody in that core that actually has good contact skills. So possible red flag there. We shall see.
Right. So who could be the lefty? Eldridge? Bryce Eldridge? I don't think he's ready.
Yeah, who's the lefty that's in the middle of the lineup? If Eldridge is not there, please don't tell me Yaz.
Oh yeah,
or
no.
Please don't tell me he shouldn't even be on the team, in my opinion. But whatever. So they got work to do with the lineup, and maybe some guys will establish themselves in spring training. That always happens. There's always 2 or 3 guys that kind of nobody talks about and comes out of nowhere and does well. Free agent. One of the young guys maybe that they didn't think would make any noise and is making noise. So let's see. But right now, that's your 3, 4, 5. And it may sound good on paper, but again, it's flawed because none of them are great contact hitters. And we're going to be back to 2024 season again with a lot of strikeouts with guys in the scoring position.
Right. It is something that they need to look at. But Santander would fit into that because he's a switch hitter.
Yes.
You have the 2.
He could play right field.
And getting Adames definitely all but assuredly blocks Casey from being shortstop. So Casey's only way to play now is going to be at second base, which is a waste of a great arm.
But you know what? He's fine with playing second. When we had him on the show last month, he's bought a new, he's got new glove. He's been working second base. He said he prefers second over short because it's just a little easier for him. I think him at second base, you've got a great double play combination because his arm is incredible and he can make that quick throw over to second with something on it or over to first to get the double play. So I'm thinking that this is definitely I think some trades are coming.
Yes.
It appears to me, I do believe they need a left-handed bat. How about Bellinger at first base from Chicago in the middle of that lineup? He's on the trade block.
Would love that.
Now that would be something. Go get Cody Bellinger. He's on a shorter term deal and get him to play first base. You could probably go out and get a Cody Bellinger. Maybe you trade them Chicago. Maybe you can get rid of Robbie Ray. Get rid of that contract and get in Cody Bellinger.
Yeah.
That would be something.
And one thing to keep in mind is people focus so much on what hitters and, for that matter, pitchers did last year. How many times have we seen an organization pick up a guy that had a down year? You know me, Dan, buy low, sell high. I'm very consistent on that. How many times have we seen an organization pick up a guy that struggled last year for whatever reason? Maybe he was dinged up. Maybe, I don't know, he's going through a divorce, whatever the case may be. They go to a new organization and they play well. And that may be something that I think is very, very overlooked. Everybody wants the guy that had a great year last year. But again, when I look at a player, I don't look at what they just did last year. I look at their whole career. And when I look at Adames, he started off really well with Tampa Bay as a pure hitter. 278, 254, 259. Solid. Then he went down to 197, 285, 238, 217. Last year, 251. So I see a lot of up and down there. So I think there's guys out there that maybe are not on everybody's radar, that may not be a 5-star free agent, but is a good player, has shown it at some time and some point in their career. Maybe is left-handed, maybe is a contact speed hitter, and maybe we can plug him in the lineup and he can play well here.
Yeah. I think sometimes change is good for guys, like you said. To me, this tells me that Buster is going to try to win now, because you have Chapman and Adames, again, both signed to pretty large contracts, both of them 6 years, and in Adames' case, 7 years. So for the next 6 years, your infield is pretty well established. And it better work, because if not, it will set the franchise back several more years.
Great point.
I'm not in favor of this move unless there's more to come. Because if they think they can find their shortstop and they got their third baseman, who both strike out a ton, you got to have contact hitters in there. I mean, the one thing you brought it up, Los, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, those guys don't strike out all the time like these guys do. In fact, I'm going to pull up
contact hitters
for kicks to see what these guys' strikeout rates are. Freddie Freeman. Hold on. Freddie Freeman. Let's see. Freddie Freeman last year in the 24 season struck out only 100 times in 638 plate appearances.
Yeah, 14%.
That is a K rate of 15.6%, almost 15.7%.
That's where you need to be. That's where you need to be.
And if you want to look at Mookie Betts, I mean, we could look at career numbers as well, but last year, Mookie Betts struck out 57 times in 516 plate appearances, 11%. You guys seeing the difference here? Why this move is, right here on NorCal Sports Network, we're going to bring you we're not just going to bring you the fluff. We're going to bring you the details of baseball. This is, an important aspect of the game. A lot of people just look at name power and think, oh, wow. Now, Shohei, he strikes out more, but you can live with that because he had only 22% of the time for a guy that hit 54 bombs. Okay? That's not bad at all. So now I know Cody Bellinger in 23 cut down on his K rate. I don't remember what he did last year. Cody Bellinger last year struck out 89 times. 89 times in 569 plate appearances. So he's down to 15%. So Cody Bellinger would be the guy that you need in this lineup. You need him in between. If you can get a Cody Bellinger and have Jung-Hoo Lee lead off, and then you went with a Haesung Kim, or you know what? Ideally, you put Luis Matos, a guy that makes contact, second. And then third, you put let's say, a Ramos, and fourth a Bellinger, and fifth an Adames, and then you move Chapman down further in the lineup where he belongs, I would not put Chapman and Adames back to back. You know why?
No way.
Because if you got runners in scoring position and they're up, strike three.
Rally killer.
You cannot put those two guys together. You've got to find somebody that makes contact in between those guys. And Ramos, what did Ramos do last year, his K rate? I said it was around 25. I think it might have been even higher. Ramos struck out last year 135 times in 518 plate appearances, 26%. So you got Chapman 24, Adames 25, and Ramos 26%. You cannot put those three anywhere back to back to back, but they're going to be close. So the Giants have to find contact hitters, or this is just, you're going to be so frustrated watching them because they're going to have rallies that get nothing across because of their strikeouts. George, is this George Curry? Let's see. Corey Cooper makes comment. Giants should be commended for this signing. Alternatively, it would have been Schmidt at third, Chapman at short, and signed Bregman at second. I like the Adames signing much better. Yes, I like the Adames signing better too. I saw some people talking about recently, as I kind of fumble around YouTube and watch other things out there, I saw some people wanting Bregman over Adames if the Giants were to sign one of the two. And I'm thinking, why would you want Bregman over Adames when you don't have a shortstop? That doesn't make any sense. So we got a member chat here from George, member for 3 months. Thank you, George. Says Giants should trade Yaz and Duvall plus Luciano for Bo Bichette. Well, why would you get Bo Bichette now? You got a shortstop for 7 years. Let's see. Sign Santander, bring back Conforto at $6 million, and sign Fried and Kim from KBO for speed. A lot of that makes sense, George, except the Bo Bichette. I don't know why you would want to get to. What would be the need? Maybe, not sure. Bo Bichette. Where would you put Bo Bichette if you got Kim at second base? I'm not sure where that goes. Let me get to some more of the super chats. Robert Boyd, Anthony Santander, baseball average, 235 average, 44 homers, 102 RBIs. Yeah, and he struck out, what did we say, Santander? 19%? Yeah. I mean,
for a power hitter, that's not bad.
You know, a guy that hits 44. Now, consider those 44 homers. He might be the guy that does 30, but not much over 30 at Oracle. That would come down quite a bit.
That's what people just keep assuming. They're too much analyzing the statistics. They're looking at guys that have power, and you have to look at the ballpark that they played in. That factors in. Adames is going to play half of his games here. And, you know, it's not a great hitter's ballpark. It just isn't. Not like Milwaukee, it sure isn't. So, and he hits most of his homers to left. I've watched Adames play a lot. He does not hit a lot of – Ramos is actually better than him at going opposite field for power. He's a little bit more of a pull hitter. So pitchers can pitch him away at Oracle, and if he gets a little bit impatient, he's going to try to open up that shoulder, and he's going to just be hitting can of corns to the outfield. So they need more left-handed. I mean, it's a very right-handed hitted lineup right now. Right now, correct me if I'm wrong, it's just Jung-Woo Lee and Bailey. That's it. Right? Yeah. Unless Yaz gets in the lineup, and if Yaz is in the lineup, then the Giants are not going anywhere.
I don't understand the thinking behind Yaz. I really don't understand. By the way, guys, we got 500 people watching here between YouTube and X. We appreciate that. If you're over on X, come on over to YouTube and hit the like and subscribe button. That would be really appreciated. Go ahead and hit that like button. That would mean a lot. And guys, we are sitting right now. Our subscriber base has been growing rapidly. We had added 700 over in the last month to get to 35 the other night. We're now sitting at 35.55. So appreciate the subs. Keep on subbing. I'm not this lefty thing, Los, really does have me a little bothered because
you gotta balance
yeah,
the lineup.
You gotta have at least look. If they sign the kid Kim from Korea, he's going to cost you 3 years about $25 million. That's the projected rate. I said on the recording, the video I did that went out today, if you wanted to give him $30 million, it would be doable. 10 million. Now, why would you not go out and get it? If you got a guy, see, I just don't. To me, I'll tell you what I think. You know what I'm smelling right now? I'm smelling a trade. I'm smelling a trade of Yaz coming because you can't have that many guys that strike out in the lineup. And Yaz's salary, they're probably going to have to eat some of that too. From the car somewhere, driving along the Bay Area, maybe pulled over, we welcome in Larry Krueger. How's it going, Larry?
Krugs.
Danny, can you hear me?
Yes.
You hear me?
We can. We welcome in Larry Krueger from the Krug Show, everybody. On this big signing day, Buster Posey gets maybe the second or third best position player available in this year's free agency behind Juan Soto. And they get their shortstop pending physical.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But we think it'll fly. But we were just discussing, Larry, that we like the Adames signing if there's more to come. If this is all there is, it doesn't really move the needle because you lost Blake Snell. You got to replace Snell with either a Fried or a Burns if you're going to compete. And the other thing that we looked at is Adames strikes out as much as Chapman and Ramos. So you got to find a left-handed batter that doesn't strike out a lot to put in between these guys, or you're going to have just a rally-killing lineup with guys that strike out 25% of the time.
Not good.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on the?
Yeah, 173 Ks is a lot.
A lot.
It's a lot of strikeouts. It's a lot of whiff. But there's a little swing and miss in his game. That's the modern way of saying. But overall, when you don't have a shortstop, you're under the gun. So
Right.
you got the offseason usually. The one thing about baseball is that, the one thing that seems like it hasn't changed in baseball is that the two positions that are just absolutely crucial are catcher and shortstop. And it seems like there's always early moves for those two positions. Teams that feel like they don't have any other way will go. I mean, for the Giants, it's a big moment because they got a position player in his prime to sign a long-term deal, but it's not so long-term that it's going to make them crazy on the back end. He's not going to be under contract at 38, 39 at shortstop. And I don't know if he'll play shortstop, to be honest, the full time of this deal. But I think it's it's the price of doing business. You have a need. You got a guy now who's in his prime with a power bat who can hit 3, 4, 5. You solidify the left side of your infield. You were kind of under the gun. I mean, I was looking around at the options and I was like, man, what's Buster going to do here? This is going to be interesting because there weren't a lot of options. I mean, I don't know if you guys, I don't want to be redundant if you guys already discussed what the other shortstop options were this offseason, but it's not like there's 20 options. I mean, there's trades if you want to go trade for somebody, but then you're weakening yourself in another area. What do the Giants have to trade? And so obviously it's early. They still have to fill in around this. You're right. I agree wholeheartedly. If this is the move, then I'm once again not interested in what's coming up this year. But I don't think it will be. I think they're going to make several interesting moves. I think this is going to be a big week coming up. I would say, keep your ears posted this week. You got the winter meeting starting in what, Dallas?
Essentially
Is that what it is?
tomorrow night. Essentially,
Is that Dallas?
yeah, in Dallas tomorrow
In
night.
Dallas, yeah. So they're in winter meetings in Dallas this year, and I would expect the Giants are going to make some trades. They've got guys that I could see them moving Yaz. I could see them moving
Please,
Lamont Wade.
please.
I think Luciano could possibly get moved, or even a McRae. It depends. This
Definitely
move,
some of these prospects that may have the trajectory has changed for sure. There's any number of guys that potentially could move, but I expect them to be active. I bet you this is if we said what's the over under on the number of new Giants coming out of the winter meetings, I think the Giants are going to Dallas to make moves. I think they've got actually pieces that may be able to help them make moves. I'm going to put the over under at a whopping, this could be a high number. I'm going to put the over under at 5.5 new additions this
I was
week.
thinking you're going to say 4. I do see another move coming for first baseman, and it wouldn't shock me if they make a deal with the Cubs. They're on the market to move Cody Bellinger. I think he fits what they need. He's got a lower K rate, about a 15% K rate. He's not signed too long for a long-term deal, which doesn't block Bryce Eldridge. But you cannot bring back Wilmer Flores or Lamont Wade as your first baseman. So I think they are going to move they're going to try and get a first baseman. We looked at Goldschmidt, but he has another high K rate of 26%. And that's one of the things Buster wants to cut down on. You already got 3 guys in the lineup now, Adames, Chapman, and Ramos, that have a 25% K rate. And then if you put Yaz in there, that's 4 guys. And then Bailey has got a 22% rate. You got to mix this lineup up with some contact hitters. You got Jung-Hoo Lee coming back. I like this Haesung Kim that was posted in Korea. He's a second baseman. He's probably going to be, he's a 304 hitter in the KBO, so that translates to about 260 over here in the major leagues. He steals bases. He does make contact. He's only going to strike out about 16 to 18% of the time. They need guys like that. I don't know if you can find them.
Danny, I know I saw the stuff on him too, and I've looked at him. He is a good base stealer for sure. I think he's stolen a bunch of bases over there, but he's only 173 pounds or something. He's really light.
He's a very much top. He hits the ball with topspin. He doesn't have a lot of backspin. He's on top of it. He hits a lot of line drives that are hard ground balls through the hole. He's not a power hitter, but in that ballpark, if you could slap it around and make contact that's solid, he could help. I don't know if he's the answer. I personally I hope the Giants give Casey Schmidt a shot but he's going to have to cut down on his K rate as well. But Casey's a guy that is an excellent fielder. He's a Gold Glover caliber player, and he's got some pop. Casey can, but he might be a candidate. I hate to say it, but he might be a candidate for a trade as well, especially if Alex Bregman does leave the Astros.
They keep him.
I hope they do too.
Keep Casey. I'd like to see Casey in the mix at second base, and I'd like to see them add. The guy that I was hoping the Giants would get, and he went to Atlanta a couple of weeks ago on a trade, is Nick Allen from the A's.
Oh yeah, the little short guy.
Yeah, he's short, but he's explosive. He's fast. He's a good ball player. The Braves are a smart team, and they picked him off. Watch him go to Atlanta and play really well there. I like Nick Allen, really underrated baseball player. So I was hoping the Giants would go there, but either way, they need more speed, more athleticism, more power across the board. I like this from the standpoint now, though. It gives you a power bat in the middle of the infield.
Wow, look at that 32% K rate of Fitz. Yeah, you can't have him in the everyday lineup if they're going to build a lineup that is all around feast or famine, K rate, strikeout, or a 2-3 run bomb. This is a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. We just looked at the Dodgers lineup. All three of their superstars strike out. What was Mookie Betts 11%, Freddie Freeman 15%, and Ohtani was only 22%.
It's the Padres lineup too. The Padres
yes.
The Padres lineup, their guys strike out 12, 13, 14%. That's winning baseball. But everybody wants to go to the 220, 230 hitters with a lot of power. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. Like the Giants, I'm telling you, what they should have done was just gone for speed, athletic, and higher batting average. Screw everybody else, what everybody else is doing. But now they got Buster. What Buster said and what Buster's doing is completely opposite. Buster said he wanted contact hitters and he wanted to emphasize higher batting average. By re-signing Yaz, by re-signing Chapman, and by signing Adames, that's the opposite of what you just said. But we'll see how it works.
We'll see.
One other thought is that, I'm sure there'll be a number of people who will be like, well, the Giants had to answer for Snell going to the Dodgers, but check the splits. Isn't Adames like a 115 hitter against lefties? I don't think his numbers against lefties are good at all.
Let me pull him up here. I'll look at his split.
That would be scary.
But I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's a bunch of lefties all throughout around the division.
He is 29 years old. He turns 30 in he's not till September, so he'll be playing. He's let's just hope he really is 29. He is from the Dominican, where they have a history of fudging their ages. Willy Adames. Let's see what his batting splits are. So take me a minute to get to these.
Yeah, I just think that Adames is I like the move from the standpoint he gives them a big, somebody who can hit 4 or 5. He hit mostly 4 and 5 for the Brewers this year. And
you're right, Larry. He hit 191 last year against lefties and 271 versus righties.
Yeah,
that's
we'll see
a little weird.
How many good lefties there are. I'll tell you, what team I'd love to see the Giants match up with in a trade this week, and forgive me if you've heard me pitch these guys before, and there are not a lot of divisional trades, but the Diamondbacks, do the Giants have anything the Diamondbacks want? Because I've read that the Diamondbacks are shopping Jake McCarthy, and Jake McCarthy's got a ton of speed.
Oh yeah.
And to me, it's like that guy, Jake McCarthy, in the Giants ballpark, hitting the ball in the gaps and running. I mean, if you want to see, somebody who can really run and hit gappers and play with energy, and I think Jake McCarthy could be a cult hero in San Francisco. And then I've always loved Pavin Smith, and it just seems like I really believe that guy, if he got some at-bats, could be a pretty good first baseman. He's got he's never really had the at-bats. He's never really gotten the opportunity. I think you can get him out of Arizona pretty cheaply. I don't know. They're looking for ways to fill first base this year, but not fill it long-term because you're looking for Eldridge. So maybe if you don't want to go if you don't want to invest in the polar bear, I'd go with the polar bear. I'd try to go get Pete Alonso. That, to me, that's the guy who's going to put butts in the seats. That's the guy who's going to hit the ball over the fence. That's the guy to, he's going to have low average. I know the D's not great, but if you're talking about a show, and winning, I think, that guy like that's going to have 5 really good years for the next 5 years.
I don't know if that works with this team though, Larry, because he just signed Adames, and there's another guy that struck out 172 times last year.
Yeah, that's true.
You got.
I like my Pavin Smith contact guy, but I definitely like the idea of getting some more speed and line drive hitters in this ballpark but I like the idea of redoing the position players, because what do they got? You got the catcher set, you got shortstop and third set, the right side of the infield's open, and how many outfield spots are open? One, at least one. You got Ramos and
Lee,
Jung-Hoo Lee, but you definitely have one full outfield spot too. So
I think some trades may be coming, depending on what they think of Matos. I don't know what, they got Matos and McRae, 2 young guys. Are they going to stick with these guys? Or are they going to move off of them? The one thing
what do you guys think? I mean, who do you? I out of those two, I mean, they're both really exciting because
I'd rather have Matos play because he strikes out about 12% of the time. Matos
McRae has got major power and he's really fast, but the 35% strikeout rate,
you just can't have that. You can't have that. The one thing
I really like the Jake McCarthy move, Larry.
I like Jake McCarthy. He strikes out about 17% of the time. It's 285 hitter.
285. That's what we're talking about. He's got some power. Doesn't have 40 homer power, but who cares? He has a higher batting average. He's going to get that guy home from third with less than 2 outs and not strike out as much as some of the other guys. Maybe Doval could bring McCarthy back. I don't know. Does Arizona need a closer? I would make a move for that. I love that move. They need to get some more lefties in that lineup, and to our point that we've been saying, get more speed, get more athletic to balance out the power that you have.
Well,
what's the next move? What's the next move? Are they rumored to be interested?
I think the next move, if you're going to ask me what I think the next move is, I think it's Corbin Burns. I really do. I think it's Corbin
Susan
Burns.
Fluster reported that. Where are the Giants on Ha-Seong Kim?
We don't know. I don't see a need for. Would you rather have Ha-Seong Kim or Hai-Seong Kim? I mean,
can't Ha-Seong Kim play second too?
He can, and that's where he would play if they got him because he's coming off shoulder surgery. I think the Hai-Seong Kim might be a little cheaper and give them a little bit more type of player that fits the park.
I mean, you're probably right, but I kind of understood that. I thought last year a lot of the discussion was that Ha-Seong Kim really wanted to play with Jung-Hoo Lee, and that's why it was likely he was coming here this year. I mean, that was last year, but I mean, and who knows? That might have been the old regime. But what would you think about the idea of signing Kim and putting him at second?
I would be okay with that. I'd have to check again. Let me look and see because you can't if this guy strike. I think Kim made more contact, didn't he? Than
yeah, for sure.
Does he? How do you spell Ha-Seong?
Well, what's the contract status? What's the contract status of the guy the Marlins had? They traded to the Padres, who can raise.
At least yeah, he
love
would be
him.
Great.
Love
He'd be.
Where's the Rise? Isn't it Rise? Is he a free agent?
No, but he could be a guy that they do move. I've heard.
I mean, that's the guy to trade for. That guy's just an awesome
bingo
hitter.
spot on. Isn't it pretty much common knowledge that the Padres are trying to shop and they're hurting for payroll? So they would move a guy like
they might.
Although he does not make a ton of money, but still they would.
I think he makes decent money now, actually.
Ha-Seong Kim would fit well. He strikes out only 16% of the time, so he does fit the model. And I think they would prefer him at second base just because of his arm. But
if they could get Cody Bellinger too, that one.
The nice thing about Bellinger, I agree. The thing about Bellinger that would be really exciting is that, the Giants, like most teams in baseball, have a number of players kind of coming up through the system, and you have the versatility of playing Bellinger either in the infield or the outfield, and potentially he's really good in both spots. And I don't know, I'd love to see Bellinger. I think Bellinger would be a great addition.
Yep, that's Lamont Wade on steroids. Take Bellinger. he plays first. He plays outfield. He used to be a low batting average strikeout guy when he was younger, but he's turned that around the last few years. I would love him in that lineup. It's all about balance.
How many spots then do they really need to build? I mean, you're talking about two or three spots, right? The right side of the infield, one spot in the outfield, and then of course you got to replace Snell. But There a lot of talk about Manaea. Have you guys brought up Manaea? Manaea is obviously going to be quite a bit cheaper. Um, he took issue with the old regime and how he was
Right.
utilized.
Right.
And I think that's why he left. I think he was done with Farhan and wasn't that it, or was it Gabe? I forget what it was, but
It was Gabe.
he left and was like, wasn't there when he on the way out the door, he was like, yeah, it wasn't the most enjoyable season or something.
Yeah. I just put together a trade, pretty much a package, what it would take to get a Jake
You've
McCarthy.
made a trade?
Well, I went to the trade analyzer here and looked what it would take.
Just making sure.
So McCarthy has a 24.7 surplus value. So it would take 2 or 3 players like a Matos, a Duvall, and maybe a Rainer Arias, who's only 18. I think the Diamondbacks, they're pretty well set. So they might be interested in somebody that has a lot of potential that's still 3-4 years away. So
yeah, that sounds right. It's going to take a little bit to get McCarthy. He's only 27. He's got his best years ahead of him.
Right. You're giving up a ready-made player in Matos, I think. Duvall, they, would help their pin. They had a rough go of it with their pin last year. That kid they got, Paul Sewald, not kid, but veteran Sewald, really struggled down the stretch, and they went with some rookie last year. So I don't know. You see trades occasionally happen in division, but I think that's a fair trade for both teams.
Hey, if you threw in Pavin Smith, what do you owe him? Because I think Pavin Smith is a line drive, first base sitting, guy who can hit I think he can hit 275, 280, 15 to 18 home runs, 35 doubles. Pretty good hitter. Pretty good left-handed bat.
Yeah, you're talking about Pavin Smith in addition to McCarthy or separately?
Yeah, in addition. Because McCarthy's the outfield guy with speed, and Pavin's the kind of the low-cost option at first to add to whatever else you got there.
Okay, so Pavin Smith, he's got
There's other options. There's a ton of options in free agency as guys who play other positions who could also play first. And Bellinger would be if you're going to go the Bellinger route, I don't know if I would go this direction, but I definitely think Pavin Smith is could be a bust out player if given the opportunity.
Is it safe to say everybody prefers Burns over Fried?
I love both. I think you're set either way. I think Burns is a little bit, a little bit more of like that number one kind of feels more like a number one, where Fried feels like a 1 or a 2.
And Burns will probably command, give or take, 8 or 10 more million a year than Fried. Because I love Burns, but I kind of am intrigued about going maybe Fried and Buehler and getting both of those guys and sticking them with Webb, because Buehler's not going to cost that much. He shouldn't. I don't know how long of a contract you need to give him, but I'm a big Max Fried guy. When healthy, I've seen what he can do. He's pretty filthy. And again, I like balance in a rotation, and I like balance in a lineup. I like lefty, righty. I don't like right. That just has never seemingly worked in any era. So I'm a big Fried guy if they can get him.
I was looking at the list. There's a couple guys on there that I think down the list that nobody's really thinking of that I think I would love to have because you need numbers with starting pitchers. I like Charlie Morton. Give me Charlie Morton. He's older. He's an older guy at this point, but he's still nasty. And I think Buster might know Charlie Morton. And he's just, to me, he's a big game pitcher. He's nasty. If you could limit his starts to, instead of 30 starts, if you could start him, more like 20 times, man, I think he could give you a really good season. I still think, even at his age. But there's a couple pitchers out there, that are interesting. But to me, pitching is like one of those things where man, you can really roll the dice with a lot of big money if you get involved with these pitchers for big dollars and they get injured. I mean, the Giants tried this with Cueto and Samardzija, and Samardzija was really durable at that point, and so was Cueto, and yet both of them at different points had injuries and issues, and I don't know. They wanted Greinke, and then they said, "Nah, let's go Cueto and Samardzija." Is it doing the same thing, going the 2-for-1? I don't know. It depends. It all just kind of depends on who's going to stay healthy.
Here's that trade, by the way. Which,
and
if you
that
wanted
was
to
after
add,
Zito's tragedy.
oh yeah. Here's the trade. If you added Pavin Smith to the deal, you'd have to add a couple more players like a McRae and a Sable. But this would be, I think this is kind of like that. What's that?
I said you're giving guys. I mean, I love the trade aspect, but look, you think the Diamondbacks want some of these crows? Nobody wants Blake Sable. He's only on the Giants because nobody else wants him.
Hey, he's a friend of the show, man.
He's a friend of the show.
Yeah, I mean, you could do, instead of a Sable, you could do somebody along the lines of.
You can't trade all the friends of the show.
Yeah, exactly. So we got. I mean, I'm just throwing it to make the values.
Some guys to interview.
I understand.
The values are right there. So 35.8 to 35, but I think that someone along those lines. Look, the Diamondbacks would be getting McRae. That's a speedster that kind of replaces McCarthy. They get Matos. They get Duvall for their bullpen. Giants get a couple of needs. So they get a Pavin Smith that could play first base, can also play some outfield. McCarthy could be your everyday right fielder. And you can move Yaz off in some other deal. There's options out there. There's options. As far as pitching goes, I like what our friend, if I can find him in here. Boy, the chat is going crazy here. Somebody said, where did Aaron's comment? I went to star it. He said he wanted Burns because he's more of a sinker ball pitcher like Webb, which makes more sense for this ballpark.
Yeah.
Here it is. Yeah, Burns. There we go. Burns, sinker cutter guy like Webb. Prefer Burns. I don't think you're going to get Sasaki because Sasaki, the Giants have the lowest number of international money available because they not only got penalized.
It's not about the money at all, right?
Well, it's whatever your international.
I saw that too, Danny. But the difference between the lowest and the most is not very much. So it's
what is it, like $1 million?
Yeah, it's nothing compared in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah,
this guy's gonna make his big money in the next deal and in endorsements, and this is a dominating pitcher. This guy might be better than these other guys, to be completely honest. Everybody says he wants to go to LA. I think baseball should have a rule that he can't go to LA. I mean, it's like, my God, they're going to make it borderline unfair if that guy goes to LA. Because he's also he's not going for a big contract. He'd be going for like an opportunity. So I mean, it's up to the business community here to put together a deal that gets him, because he's a superstar pitcher and he's in his prime, but the rules stipulate that he can't sign for more than a certain amount of money. So it's not about his amount of money. It's going to be about where does he want to go. And there's a lot of talk though that I read an article the other day saying that he wasn't going to go to the Dodgers because they didn't want they wanted more exposure, and the Dodgers already have a lot of media covering them, and now they would, I don't know, I mean, or that he didn't want to have his brand be like in connection to Yamamoto and Ohtani, that he wanted to compete with Yamamoto and Ohtani. So I don't know. That's the article that I read. It's out there. It might have been on MLB.com, actually. I forget who wrote it. Well, you don't have to do a deep dive, but it's out there. But he's an incredible talent, man. I mean, that would. I did the deep dive and watched him. He's completely nasty. The ridiculous live arm, unbelievable stuff, breaking
More
ball,
breaking news.
fastball. The
More
guy's
breaking
awesome.
news. Jeff Passan 1 minute ago just came out with Tyler O'Neill and the Baltimore Orioles are in agreement on $50 million for Tyler O'Neill for 3 years.
It's a good deal.
Whoa,
good deal.
He does have some pop.
He had 30. Didn't he have 30 bombs last year?
31.
Yeah.
They got him for basically 16 million a year.
Wow.
That's a lot of money for
17.
Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah. But, a little bit to Larry's point and to my point earlier about, sometimes it's those middle ground hitters and pitchers that maybe didn't have the great last year that for whatever reason that you maybe want to look at. I mean, take a look at Seth Lugo. Nobody thought Seth Lugo was going to be a great signing. And for the Royals, that was a very under the radar, like who gives a shit type of signing. And Seth Lugo is one of the best pitchers in baseball last year. So you look at the free agent list, and a guy that kind of stands out to me a little bit is Patrick Sandoval. I've always thought he's had good stuff. He's a lefty. He's played on a crappy Angels team.
Oh, the Angels, yeah.
Quite a few years. But I've watched him pitch, and he's got decent stuff. That might play out good in the ballpark, and he's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. He's not going to be a 1 or 2, but he's going to definitely be a really good, 3, 4, 5 pitcher in your rotation. So, I'm all for those guys in the middle that maybe not too many people are looking at that could bounce back and have good years. Eovaldi's not in that. Eovaldi's definitely not in the middle. He's more in the upper echelon, but he's a guy too I would look at. He's a proven pitcher, especially in the postseason. Great guy to have.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. Even though it looks like you're miles and miles and miles away, to be a great GM this year for the 2024 and soon to be 2025 San Francisco Giants, you really have to build a roster like you won 90 games last year, and you are right on the edge of winning a World Series, and you're just really, really close to winning a World Series, but you're not quite there. So you have to think along those lines. Why? Because even though that we know that the Giants are further away than that, if you are going to turn this thing around, it's probably not going to be some 100-win team, amazing thing. It's probably going to be more like you got in the wild card and you did damage in October. So I would still think about, like, the Dodgers just paid Tommy Edman, for example. Why? Because they feel like he's like kind of a proven guy and a October performer and a guy that they can depend on. And it's like, so if you get guys that you believe are good, I mean, Buster's smart enough to understand this. Sometimes if you get 3 or 4 guys who are really good October pressure players, and you can slip into the playoffs in the wild card, you can, with the right starting staff and the right, bullpen, the right manager, the right catcher, and they feel like they have the right catcher, and they feel like they have the right manager, you can win the World Series. You can do it. Arizona almost did it, not that long ago. The Giants did do it. And it can be done. That you're not going to, how are you going to run with the Dodgers? You're not going to run with the Dodgers by being, spending with them or signing more blue chip players or having a more impressive lineup. You're going to have to get in through the wild card, have really good starting pitching, and guys who excel in October. And then you're going to have to get into an October deal, get hot, and win it. That's your ticket to the World Series. And I think if you're Manasian and you're Buster, you should build a roster with that in mind, as opposed to just, trying to go for a bunch of second division players that accumulate a bunch of bad stats on a losing team, but really in October would just be fodder and they wouldn't really do much. Go get guys who are kind of proven October guys, if you can.
Yeah, I think they need to add pitching, because if you're going to win in October, you're going to need three, aces. You're going to need a Burns, and you're going to need Webb, and you're going to need, who's the third guy that steps up, whether it's Robbie Ray, Kyle Harrison, or
Birdsong.
Hayden Birdsong. Somebody's going to have to step up and
Mason
be that.
Black.
Yeah, I don't know about Black. His stuff doesn't really move that much. It looks very hittable, but you never know. Maybe he's figures it out. You also have,
Vincent
I don't
Hunt.
want Jordan Hicks in the starting lineup pitching rotation. I think he's best suited in the bullpen.
Setup guy.
Bullpen.
Yeah.
That's how you strengthen your pen right there, is you put that guy in the 8th inning.
Right.
Here's the Giants. Right now it looks like they got a million holes, but if they put Jordan Hicks in the pen, right, all of a sudden your pen is really, pretty formidable.
Yeah, you have if Duvall gets his stuff back and you got Walker at the closer, you could have a 7, 8, 9. And that's the thing. That's why you need Corbin Burns, and I think that's what Buster. Buster's no dummy. He caught 3 World Series championships with a great pitching staff. What was the secret to the Giants team? They had pitchers that would go deep into the game, get into the 7th inning. Maybe they went 6 1/3, or 7 full innings, but they ate up innings. The bullpen was lights out and was not overworked. So when the bullpen did come in, they had the big core 4. The Giants could build their own core 4 if they put Hicks in the bullpen, and you went with, you got this Eric Miller kid, you've got the Rogers brothers. One of those Rogers brothers could be a 6th inning, 7th inning guy, and situational. And you got Hicks and then Walker. And if you got guys that can get you into the 7th inning, you don't have to wear out the bullpen. That's why Blake Snell.
Well, and here's another idea too, Danny, to add to that mix. The A's are probably going to trade Mason Black. Why not just offer one of your good young? The Giants have a ton of really, really young guys.
You mean Mason Miller? Did you mean Mason Miller?
Mason Miller. I said Mason Black. Yeah, Mason Miller.
Oh, the closer? Filthy.
Yeah, go get that guy, and put Hicks in the 8th, and now you've got a killer pen, and give up a couple of really, really good younger pitchers. They have them. What about the lefty 2-way guy who's now no longer a 2-way? Crawford.
Oh, Reggie Crawford. He's coming off injury. I don't think he's.
But a guy like that. That's amazing. That's a big time left-handed arm. You throw him in a deal and a bunch of a couple other prospects.
I forgot about Reggie Crawford as a potential trade candidate. He's a guy that definitely would. He's now just a pitcher, but he's got nasty stuff.
97.
Right. And he kind of has a little bit of that Aroldis Chapman look to him, because he's that tall left-hander that comes across and throws heat. But no one throws like Chapman used to, but I don't know how he's looking. Yeah, he's still, they've got him listed. 23 years old.
And the formula.
What you really need, I think we all saw it. We all saw the Giants in the playoffs all those years. What you really need, what Buster knows they need, you gotta be able to shut the door at the end of games. You gotta have a good pen. You gotta have some big time starters who can pitch in October. And you gotta pay. Oftentimes you gotta pay for those guys. But then with your lineup, you just really need 9 tough outs.
Yeah.
9 guys who are tough outs. Grinders, guys who know the zone. You got to pitch to them. David Bell hit 8th on a couple of those teams.
Marco Scudero, perfect example.
Marco Scudero, just 9 tough outs, 9 guys who know the zone, who grind, as long as you have 9 tough outs. I mean, the Giants won a World Series with Gregor Blanco and Travis Ishikawa and, guys like that in the outfield. Forgetting Juan Perez. And I mean, they did this. They already won World Series with these guys. And how they do it? Because they play smart baseball. They had a great pen, some really good gutty starters, and 9 tough outs in the lineup.
Yeah, none of those championship teams had what you would call a very good lineup, 1 to 9. But they had scrappy hitters. They had situational hitters. They were able to get runs in without hitting the ball out of the ballpark. And they had dominant pitching, both in starters and in the bullpen. So completely agree.
Torture.
Lou, you know all about Duvall. Are you ready to move off of Duvall after that?
I don't even know why we even tendered him. I think that guy mentally is gone. He was complete wreck the second half of the year. They should have DFA'd him. I think he's done. I think he's pathetic. He doesn't know what he's
young,
doing.
though,
You don't know the whole story, but I had those good seats last year. He came in, gave up 4 runs in the top of the 9th. It was a disgrace. Didn't care. 2 people came over to talk to him. He didn't care. I went up to him and told him, "You're a disgrace. You're pathetic." And then one of the rent-a-cops came over and asked me to sit down. I said, "No, these are my seats. Move out of the way." And then some fan who never sits there complained, and I wound up being escorted out. And of course, the Giants lost the game because all these idiots that sit on their thumbs, they don't complain. When I'm at the ball game and somebody gives up 4 runs on 3 walks, 5 hits, and gets nobody out, he deserves to get booed. So it was just one of those games.
He didn't understand you, Lou. You had to talk Espanol to him. He would have got it.
So, but I don't like Duvall. I think last year the one thing the Giants did is they did find a closer, and they got very lucky.
I don't think you DFA a guy that's that young.
No, Duvall's got too good of an arm. Somebody will trade for him.
You can't
hear the
DFA a guy
same
like
thing
that.
from the Giants fans. Too young. Oh, they have a good arm. Oh, Harrison's going to be
He was an all-star the year before, though. 23. These guys have bad years, but I do agree with you. I think he's a good trade candidate. I think you either restore him, help him get back to where he was, or move off of him. But he's still got some value. But I think this team has to go out and find some contact hitters. You've got too many guys. I'll keep repeating that. Now that you've added Willy Adames, you got Chapman. Your left side of the infield is set for 6 years plus or more. And they both strike out 25% of the time. Ramos strikes out 25% of the time. Yaz strikes out another 26%. You can't have that many people. And Bailey strikes out. You got to find contact hitters. And I don't know, Matos is a low strikeout guy. Give the kid a shot. He puts the bat on the ball. You just need to let him play consistently. Either that or you're going to have to trade him. I think Matos is either at a play him or trade him point of view. You're not going to move off of Jung-Hoo Lee. You're paying him too much money. He's your contact hitter. He's your leadoff guy. You got to find 2 or 3 more guys that can put the bat on the ball consistently. Whether that's Ha-Sung Kim at second base or Hae-Sung Kim, the Korean guy who's just posted a couple days ago, or you go out and make some trades. You find a Jake McCarthy, you get a Cody Bellinger. But if they just put Adames in that lineup and then just fill in around them with what they have, forget it. It's 4th place, and it's another 500 type season.
Yeah, like you said at the beginning of the show, Dan, this move says that they're going all in to try to win right now.
They're not rebuilding.
Capacity. They're not rebuilding. No, like I said with Ed Coletti, the Sharks are the only organization that has the balls to do a rebuild, and their fans are excited about these young guys. The Giants, the Warriors, the 49ers will not do that. They just won't. So I don't know if that's the best philosophy. I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago. The Giants drafted like 3 shortstops within the first 5 rounds.
Right.
And I believe 2 of them look pretty damn good. Well, what are they thinking right now with Adames signed for 7 years? So
plus they're signing the number 1 kid in the international draft, the number one prospect, he's a 16, 17-year-old kid, but, he fits the timeline. But if you got those other guys, Walker Martin was the number 2 draft pick. He's a good 3 or 4 years away. But I'm never against filling up the minors because the odds are one of them out of 10 hits, right? 1 out of 10 is going to make it. So fill it up. I don't care if you got 7 or 8 of them. If 2 or 3 of them are good, you got trade bait. But
definitely,
I've never been a guy that says, "Oh, we can't get this guy. We're going to block him." Hey, if Vladdy Guerrero comes and signs here, screw what Bryce Eldridge. You'll figure it out, okay? I'm not worried about blocking Bryce Eldridge. He hasn't proven nothing yet. Everybody said that, Brandon Belt was going to be this, superstar. Maybe Bryce Eldridge is Brandon Belt, and he hits balls that go to die at Triples Alley. I think he's better, but who knows? When Brandon Belt was in the minors, they said, we found the next guy, We
were a little bit against Chapman blocking Casey, though.
Jesse Fopper took our breath away.
Jesse Fopper is. No, go ahead and, if you can get a Vladdy Guerrero and he wants to sign here, trade, and he agrees in the trade that he's signing long-term, I'm all for it. You know what?
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll figure it out with Eldridge. You can, either you can make him a right fielder or you can, I don't know. Look, the Giants one time had Willie McCovey and Orlando Cepeda. They should have kept Cepeda. McCovey's knees got bad, but McCovey was a left fielder. Cepeda was a first baseman. Imagine if they would have kept Cepeda for a couple more years, what could have happened? It would have been the Giants winning World Series in the 60s and not, what did didn't Cepeda get traded and he wins the MVP the next year in St. Louis? Yeah. Imagine.
I don't know. The 4 of us have watched a lot of Giants baseballs over the decade, and I know prospects hit or miss, and more times than not they miss. I get all that, but the Giants' successful teams over the decades have been built on drafts. It hasn't been built on free agent, other than Barry Bonds. The Giants haven't signed a free agent that we can honestly say, "Whoa, he was a difference maker" in the last 40 years. Other than Bonds, who? It's been the draft.
Well, I don't know. Los, what about 97? I mean, Sabian's first year, he went out in that free agent market. He brought in Darryl Hamilton,
under the radar move,
right?
You're right. Yeah.
That year they kind of jump started it with some middle of the road. I mean, I just don't know. I mean,
some trades really.
Look at it this way. I mean, I'm optimistic for the future, but I like to go forward with the idea that we're not going to be here long. You know what I mean? And it's like, I want to get this done. I want to see, I'm impatient. So I want to try to win now and in the future. So I don't mind building up the farm system, but I think the best way to build up the farm system is build it while you're getting it done at the major league level. And so I would compete hard for free agents this offseason, not worry about losing the picks or whatever, unless you really have some player in the amateur draft that you're, super excited about. Other than that, I'd like to see them get a little bit more aggressive at the top end of the international market.
Yes.
This is the week, though, right now, that I want to see. Like, Farhan was billed to me as creative deal maker, and he wasn't creative deal maker. He was flea market, flim flam. Yeah. He was like looking for flea market. He's like the guy at the dollar store getting in an argument about the price. And it's like, come on. He made no creative deals. His one creative deal was Zach Cozart take on his money so you could get what? Will Wilson?
Right.
I mean, what's Will Wilson?
Yeah, and there's another example, perfect example, Larry. Number 1 draft pick, picked like 15th by the LA Angels. That's the year the Giants grabbed Hunter Bishop, and where are both of those players, Bishop and Wilson? Nowhere to be found. Neither one may never sniff the major leagues, and we're going to hold on to. We got Bryce Eldridge coming. He's going to be the star that we've been waiting for. He might be. I'm not saying he's not, but go get the players. I'm with you, Larry. Go get the players now. And if you got those guys in your organization and they come up, fine. But if you lose a couple of draft picks to get a superstar, so be it. Go get the players.
Well, you got to know your audience too. Okay. And the four of us, Lou, you probably know it better than anybody because just from being in the ticket game and knowing like kind of the appetite for the tickets or lack thereof in recent years. But let's be completely frank about this. The Padres, don't win World Series, but there's juice in their yard. The Giants, there's been empty seats, and it's like a place where seagulls go to eat. It's really, really lame atmosphere during the week. Now, in the weekends, the place is packed and it's a good atmosphere, but they got to get some juice going in their yard. And to me, that means go get some exciting players, some power, some speed, some guys who can play. Go for it right now. Get a little bit more, aggressive. Think a little bit more about playing an entertaining brand of ball, and try to get some, the kind of team that people are going to want to come watch. They've just been a very forgettable group of ball players the last few years, and there's nothing. The only thing that you thought when you're watching them is these will not be the guys on the team the next time the team's good. And that's a bad place to be. They have to get into a more exciting mode with some better players. And I think Buster will put a competitive team out there. But it's going to take some trades, some creative moves. They're going to have to win the winter meetings. They're going to have to go and shake things up and maybe trade away some players, but make some deals and add some brand, some name recognition, because we all sense the fan base is teetering on, we're not really interested. There's something almost every month of the year that can replace baseball if baseball is just kind of boring. And so the franchise is at a really important crossroads. It's really important that they get an entertaining brand of baseball and get an exciting summer with lots of energy ASAP, because they may lose their entire fan base. There's just a lot of people that are kind of drifting away, and the Giants don't seem that important. Lou, about the ticket side of it. It just seems to me that there's a whole lot less demand for these seats.
I think, Larry, two things, and we've spoken about this on the show. With the Warriors moving down a mile away, I think it's taken a lot of the money away from the Giants season ticket holders. The other thing, too, is it's come to the point now where, the ballpark is getting old. It's still a great ballpark, but instead of these, the one thing is when they were at Candlestick, there was probably 12,000 real Giants fans. You saw the same people. You would see the people when the Giants would play in Chicago or New York, 12,000. When they moved to the new ballpark, every game was sold out. Larry Baird saying, we have a sellout. We have a sellout. The season tickets have dropped so significantly now. They have so many deals for tickets. Someone like me, someone like Dan, who is a season ticket holder, you buy your season tickets. They don't give you anything extra. Tickets just go up. And then once February, March comes, they realize, shit, we need to sell tickets. Tickets go for $501. Buy one, get one free. Another deal, all 40% off tickets, where the season ticket holder sort of gets screwed. Now, you have a family of four. When you lived in this city, it was one thing. But now that you live sort of in the burbs and you want to go to a ball game, $100 for parking. Good seats are probably $75 to $100. Food is still outrageous. For what it's costing you $1,000. Well, why don't I just stay home with the $1,000, watch it on TV? You don't have to worry about the traffic. You don't have to worry about the bums hitting you up. You don't have to worry about anything. And the other thing, when you go to these ball games, it's just as cold because you're on the bay as it is at Candlestick. So, the ballpark itself is still great, but it's all about the product. For you to have something and make that extra effort, that's why I sell a lot of my tickets. Yeah, they're great seats, but I'd rather sell them and relax at home than dealing with all the BS at the game. And the product's boring right now. This is great news.
Boring.
Okay, we got a superstar. It's probably, he's probably one of 4 guys we need to make this team fun. As Dan says, if this is all we do, then you know what? We're in 4th place again. That's not really going to help. And I don't think a name like this is really going to sell tickets. They need a couple of them to bring it to the level,
Yeah.
And again, they might have rushed it now because right now in the news, it's all about the Sharks playing well. And the A's had the headlines. I mean, that's an embarrassment, So I think it's step 1 of 4, and they need it just to make it, worth someone like you, Larry, to drive to the ball games.
And I'll add this. I'll add this to it as well. This is a very smart move by Buster to strike, because whoever loses out on Soto, this could be happening tonight, anytime. Whoever loses out on Soto, those teams that were in on Soto were going after Adames, Hernandez, and Santander, because they're going to make. If you're going to spend 6, 7, 800 million, whatever Soto is going to cost you, why wouldn't you go out and spend 600, 700 million on 3 or 4 guys? And I'm hoping that Buster is smart enough to figure this out. He didn't pursue Soto. Okay, maybe he realized, why waste my time with Soto? I'm not going to get him. Let me go get Adames. Let me go get Burns. Let me go get a Santander, and maybe I get a Fried. Now I'm smoking. I've just spent 700 million, but I've got 4 of the best top of the line free agents available, and I'm in a ready to win move situation now. I've got pitching. If I got Burns, I got Fried, I got Webb, I've got Ray, I got Birdsong, I got Harrison. Now I can move some guys. Now I can fill in at first base with Cody Bellinger. I can maybe go get a Jake McCarthy.
Well, now you could trade Luciano for sure. I mean,
right.
That one is on. And if you wanted to move Tyler Fitzgerald, I guess you could probably trade him. Hey, guys, I got to jump because my wife's expecting me to make dinner, and she's not feeling that great, so I got to do it.
Oh, what are you making? What are you making, Larry?
I'm headed to Lenardi's.
You're just picking
You're always at Lenardi's, man.
I'm there. I'm big at Lenardi's. They know me there. I'm gonna be doing like a homemade chicken soup type thing because she's not feeling that great, while at the same time kind of making like a chicken stir fry for the non-sickies. There you go. So it's a kind of a dual chicken extravaganza.
All right. Well, I hope your wife feels better, and we will catch you tomorrow, I guess, huh? On the 49ers.
Go Niners. I wouldn't bet it. I'll just say that. I wouldn't bet it. But go Niners. I do like Buffalo tomorrow, but I don't. That would be what I would bet, but I don't. I would say go Niners, but I wouldn't bet it. Anyway, guys, have a great Saturday. Lou, good to see you, bro. Los, you're the best. Danny, I want to see the Giants at the top of that hat list.
There we go. Yeah, right there. Let me move out of the way. There they are.
Look at that. Like, can I see the Giants at the top of that list one time? It's by standings, isn't it, Danny?
Yeah, it is by standings. Yeah.
It's like Wrigley. I think of Wrigley when I look at Danny's spot. Guys, have a great Saturday.
All right, Larry.
Later,
Thanks for hopping on. All right.
Later, man.
Okay. All right. Larry Krueger hops in on the we don't on the Puma. Can we call it the Puma guest line?
Well, Lou.
That's what we need. We need a Puma sponsor. Do they still have those shoes, Puma?
Oh, yeah. The suede.
Oh, yeah. Puma's out. Puma's coming back.
Puma with the suede on the side.
Yeah. See, if we get Puma, we could call ourselves the Puma Hotline.
Lou, you're at the ballpark. You have a feel for the vibe much more than Danny and myself, obviously. Would it be fair to say that when Tyler Fitzgerald and Ramos came up and Bailey to a certain point, there's just a little bit more feel in the air about the fan base? I mean, I grew up in the Bay Area. I lived there for 5 decades of my life. I think I have a pretty good idea of what the Bay Area fans are, no matter what team it is. They love their homegrown talent. They love them. Will Clark, Robbie Thompson, Tim Lincecum, Matt Bum, Brian Wilson, like these are the foundation. These are the guys. The game is getting to be where it's like 20% homegrown talent and 80% free agents. And it seems like that was kind of the debate, Dan and Larry on one side and me on the other, where they're just like, hey, just get players and let's just do it. I have a philosophy of I don't get free agents unless they're going to help me win a World Series. To me, getting Adames is one step. And like Danny said, if that's all you're going to do, they're going to be a 4th place team again. Yeah. So they're going to dish out a lot of money. They're going to sell a few more seats. Are they going to win? Probably not. They need to do more. And they need to, if they really want to get to another level. Look, the Dodgers are great because of, players that they've gotten like Betts and Freeman from other teams. But they also draft damn well. Damn well their farm system is good. So I'm hoping that with Buster in, we're just talking about the free agents and who he's going to get and how he's going to improve the team from last year. I really, really hope, and we talked about this a lot, Dan, from the very beginning of when we started this show. We talked about scouts. We talked about drafting. We talked about getting good players. And God, baseball's got to be the worst sport of all 4 major sports where first-round picks just end up being busts.
Absolutely.
It is a hard game to scout and know who is really going to be good and who is not. It is difficult. So, yeah, I would love to see some of our young guys continue to develop and piece by piece add free agents where we need it. It doesn't seem to be that that's the case. It seems like the majority of our team is going to be, trades or free agents from other, organizations, and that's just the way it is. But tell me if I'm wrong, Lou. That there's a little bit different.
No, I
feeling
agree. I mean, I was a big fan of Kenny Reitz, who played third base. Johnny LeMaster. I was one of those guys, and I think you
remember those guys. Kenny Reitz. Didn't he come from the Cardinals?
Kenny Reitz at third base. Yeah.
Cardinals.
Johnny LeMaster at second. Jack Clark. John.
We didn't call him Johnny
Lavelle. It was homegrown because you knew him. You grew up with him.
Yep.
Sort of how
didn't call him Johnny the Master though.
Used to be.
He became Johnny Disaster.
Yeah.
Disaster. Boo.
Chris Spire. Rick Lemke. I love Chris Spire.
Chris Spire, homegrown.
Yeah. What a game here! I'm watching the SEC. Okay, here we go. Come on.
Tom O'Malley.
Oh yeah.
Tom O'Malley, third baseman. Yeah.
What is that man wearing?
Milt May.
Milt May with the bat. He held the bat way up here, Dan.
Yeah.
How the hell could he hit an inside pitch with the hands that high?
I don't know, man.
Boy wonder.
Yeah. But I mean, going through the '80s and the what was their logo? The Kids or something like that. How about them Kids or the '86 team and Will Clark and Robbie Thompson coming on the scene. It's always been an organization that just, Brandon Crawford, possibly best shortstop in Giants history, homegrown, stayed at his position for over a decade. I just would love for them to kind of get back to that, but maybe I'm just an old fogey that's how baseball used to be. But those were the best of times when you could, associate with a certain player and know he's going to be here for a long time. They signed Adames for 7 years doesn't mean he's going to be here for 7 years. If he's a bust, they're going to look to move off of him in a year or two. So, he is
from the Dominican, where Soto's from. And let's just hope he is the correct age that he's reported, that he is 29. The Dominican, a lot of players that signed, including Albert Pujols and a couple other guys, once they got their big contract, all of a sudden their real age came out and they admitted to, kind of saying they were younger than they were to get the contract. Now, there is some good news out of for the Giants, when you look at the top international prospects coming out, for the top international prospects, the Giants are getting Husar, I don't know how you pronounce it, Jusar De Jesus Gonzalez. He is a switch hitting shortstop. He is the number one prospect in all of international, and the Giants are reportedly going to be signing him.
Love it.
Switch hitting shortstop with a polished approach at the plate. Let me see if I can. Is that showing up there? Yeah. I don't know if you guys can read it.
Those Dominicans. I'm with that. He's a switch hitter.
He is a switch hitter, stronger from the left side.
Love him.
Stronger from the left side. Let me kill that thing there because it's not. I can read a little bit about him to you here. I just messed up my screen though. So
see you in 2028, right, Lou?
Yeah, he's 17. He's a kid that probably can make it at 20. Yeah, yep. Probably can make it 2021.
Might be ready in 3 years, and Adames can go to DH if he does well here in those 3 years.
Yeah. So this is, exciting. The Giants finally are in on one of the top players in the international draft, and I think that will help.
Dan, we're talking about the Giants need to get contact hitters and high batting average hitters, right? And we may have one right under our nose, and it's a guy me and you saw last year in spring training, and it looked like he transformed his body. Looked like he got a little bigger and a little stronger, and he's hit everywhere he's played.
Matos?
And that's Wade Meckler.
Oh, Wade Meckler.
Wade Meckler, again, is a guy that we're in a society right now where we're just what have you done lately? And Meckler hasn't done anything lately. Seems to get hurt a little bit. But I remember 2 years ago, he was about 160 pounds dripping wet. But he could hit. He put the bat on the ball. His glove was average to below average. Wasn't that great?
Right.
But if me and Dan and Lou have seen enough baseball to see if a guy can hit or can't hit. That kid looks like he can hit.
Yep.
Last year when we saw him in spring training, me and Dan were looking at each other like, who's that? And I don't know if he had a different number, but it was Meckler, and he put on like a good 10 to 15 pounds. So we don't know what he's doing in the offseason, but he's a guy to keep an eye on because, again, this is a kid that can flat out hit. This is not a 220, 240 hitter. He's hit 300 at almost every level he's played. So I am intrigued to see him at spring training, hopefully come in even better shape, stay healthy, and force the Giants to keep him on the roster. Keep a kid like that and get rid of old fogies that don't have anything going for them in the future like Yaz. That's what I'm really looking for in spring training.
Right.
And there's probably going to be a few more young guys that we're not even talking about that could establish. And
Meckler might be. I heard the Cubs might be interested in him too. So
now, why are they interested in him? See, what you hate is somebody to take one of our young players and then they go and they blow up over there.
Right.
Or they don't even need to blow up. They could, Joey Bart comes to mind right away. Kind of let go on him. And, is he a superstar? No, but he sure as hell is better than Tom Murphy. So I'm just all about giving our young players every opportunity to do well, if possible.
My goodness, did they fumble? Or is this an incomplete pass? Yes. Oh no, incomplete. He didn't have control of it. We're going to have a tie game here, going into OT possibly for the SEC championship. Wow. Well, guys, I don't know. We got 540 watching us here. Couple hundred on YouTube. Guys, if you're over on X, it would be great of you if you could come over to the YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button. Really helps us out tremendously. With the more subs we get, the more we get pushed out. Right now, our channel is sitting at 3,568 subscribers. So give us a like and a subscribe over. I know you're on X watching, but it definitely helps the show when you subscribe. So we really do appreciate that in advance. Guys, we putting out videos on a regular basis. I was doing a video, recording it on the Giants, getting ready to do it this afternoon on the need for the Giants to just tear it down and rebuild. I now have to change it because there's no way you're rebuilding when you put money into the shortstop, third baseman for 6 years and 7 years. So
gone.
All right, this should be a gimme. This guy's already missed from earlier. This field goal kicker. He better make this. I'd like to see Texas beat Georgia. I'm tired of Georgia.
Georgia, Alabama.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing the hat not because of the Cubs or not because I loved my trip to Chicago with my boys Will and Aaron and Cliff. I'm wearing this hat because this is my grade for the Giants so far in the offseason.
A C. Okay.
When they sign some more pitching, I'll get my Boston hat or I'll get my Atlanta hat and give them an A or B. But right now,
I can put my Atlanta hat on right now. Los.
Where's the B?
The B? Boston. We can go with a B. We've got an A. We've got a B. We've got a couple of C's with Cleveland, Cincinnati, and the Cubs. Do we have a D? Detroit. Do we have an F?
Do we have an F? I don't think there's an F.
I think the closest thing to an F is the Marlins.
Florida. What is the Marlins hat? What is it? Just the picture
Just
of a
an M. You can't even see it. It's an M. It's so dark.
You can't see it. No, but they do have a hat that has an F on it, don't they?
I think they used to have a Florida one.
Alternative hats?
Well, they used to be the Florida Marlins. Now they're the Miami Marlins. So, wow, this is.
Yeah, right now, re-signing Yaz was an F. Re-signing Chapman was a C. And signing Adames is a B- for me. So average that out, it's about a C. So let's get some pitching in here.
You're getting veteran players. You're getting guys that are solid ball players. But
solid.
I think we've touched on this quite a bit, everybody. The Giants need to find they have to fill the rest of their lineup out with contact hitters, guys that don't strike out too much. Cody Bellinger used to be more of a power hitter and strike out a lot. He's kind of reduced his swing to become more of a, he'll still get you 20 home runs or so, but he's not, hitting. Didn't one year he hit like 47 with the Dodgers or something crazy like that early on in his career? But
how about trade for Arias, Dan? Put him in right field. Put Ramos in left field. Keep leading.
Luis Arias, you mean?
Yeah, Luis Arias.
I put him in first base. I put him in first base.
No, I was going to say trade for him. Put him in right. Is he in right field?
No, he's a first baseman. He's not an
No,
outfield.
I'm sorry. He's a first baseman. Cody, trade for Bellinger. Put him in the outfield, and then trade for Arias. I would love Bellinger and Arias. Both of them.
There you go. Now you're doing something. You can actually put Bellinger
to balance up that lineup. Yeah.
You can put Bellinger in right field and move and get two lefties. There you go. Arias and Bellinger.
I thought Arias was in right field because he reminds me so much of Tony Gwynn and Tony Gwynn.
Yeah.
So I had a brain fart there for a second.
You know what? If you really want to make the lineup, let's get some contact hitters. Go get Cody Bellinger, Luis Arias, and sign this kid Hae-Sung Kim out of Korea, who will strike out 17% of the time, but he's going to steal you some bases. Arias is, then you can have a much more filled out roster that actually makes sense, and a Corbin Burns, and you're not really spending that much. Kim,
no, you're not.
Is not going to cost you much. Bellinger, you could probably move off of a Robbie Ray, maybe. I don't know if the Cubs would want that, but I know they want rid of Bellinger's salary. In fact, let me take a look at what Bellinger is actually. I know he had a opt-in, and he chose to opt in. I think Is this his last year of that salary? Let me look. Cott's salary, Chicago Cubs. Okay.
Yeah, Lee and Arias at the top of the lineup. That's nice. That's two good hitters.
That's interesting. The Cubs
set it up.
All the teams have a link except the Phillies and the Cubs. I cannot click on their. What the heck? Why can't I click on the Cubs? Doesn't tell me what. Well, I'll have to look up Cody Bellinger's contract separately. Maybe somebody on the chat could do that. Cody Bellinger contract. See, Bellinger. Okay, Cody Bellinger he's signed for 2 more years for $27.5 million. He could have opted out this year, but he chose not to. That's why the Cubs want to trade him, because they gave him a 3-year deal with an opt-out after 1 year. He chose to opt in because he didn't, he was obviously not going to get the same amount of money on the market. So you might be able to pick up a Bellinger. They may not want that much salary in return. No, Bellinger, Ben Bamboo, he struck out. What did we say Bellinger's strikeout rate was? Was it 17 or 19?
I believe
it was under 20.
It's under 20. Which is where we want to be at.
Let me pull up Cody Bellinger here. His stats here. Okay, Cody Bellinger, according to Baseball Reference, his strikeout rate for the 24 season, he struck out 89 times, which is about half of what the Chapman and Adames. 89, and he had 569 plate appearances. He's only 15. 15, that's perfect. Okay? And the year before, he struck out 87 times in 13 less at bats, so right at the same. Cody Bellinger used to strike out a ton. In 22, well, he had the bad shoulder. Yeah. But before he got hurt,
yep.
He hit 47 homers in 20. Yeah, when he hit he hit 40. Yeah, imagine that. Cody Bellinger would have been a superstar had he not gotten hurt like that.
Yep.
47 home runs in 2019. Now, that was the juice ball era. That season.
Dodger homegrown.
Yep. 108 strikeouts in 558 at bats. 108 divided by 558. Still 19% of the time while hitting 47 home runs and driving in 115 and winning the National League MVP. Cody Bellinger's the guy you need. Forget it. I don't think you can go out and get Santander, but go out and get yourself Cody Bellinger and Luis Arias, and now you're cooking, San Francisco.
That's right. And if you can't get those guys, maybe look at Draxon Profar as well.
Funny how we love analytics, says Aaron supports our argument. Well, you can't.
No doubt.
You can't have a team, though, of 7-8 guys striking out 20+% of the time. I mean, it's the analytics that bothers me is when they put the guys in that are your, guys that are hot and we got to platoon them or whatever. Overtime in the SEC championship. Wow.
Yeah. And then we got the Big Ten next. Penn State, Oregon.
That's another good game.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, guys, go ahead.
I was going to say that we shouldn't assume that Patrick Bailey is going to be the starting catcher too. He regressed, and if there's a trade out there maybe for an improvement in catcher, and I know that goes against what I'm thinking and saying about our prospects, but Bailey's a work in progress. He not only regressed hitting, he regressed defensively, which is kind of what he came up on was his MO. So, we just assume he's going to be our everyday catcher. everything is off the table. There's not too many untouchables on this team to improve it. And I think really they are going to make themselves better by doing some really smart trades rather than just, signing free agents. But it's going to be I think it's going to be definitely more interesting than last year's winter meetings for sure. And I think Buster pulling the trigger early rather than waiting is a good characteristic to have.
True.
Yeah.
You guys have any other thoughts on what the Giants might do in this free agency? Do you think? I think they're in on Burns. I really do, because if you're going to go after Adames and not add to pitching, that would be disastrous.
If they go after Burns, then their rotation is going to be like their lineup, very right-handed oriented. And I would rather have, honestly, I love Burns, but I love Fried too. I'd be okay with Fried, and he's probably going to cost a little bit less. I'd like to see 2 lefties or 3 lefties in the rotation, and any combination of 3-2. I don't want 5 righties, and I don't want 4 and 1. I just, as long as I've watched baseball, I like balance in the lineup and in the rotation. Righty, lefty,
3-2.
righty, lefty.
Well, they do have Harrison and Ray. Harrison hasn't. Those are both question marks.
I got a feeling Harrison's not going to be a starter next year. I don't know why. He might be a middle reliever when it's all said and done. I don't know. He didn't show me much last year. I like Birdsong a lot.
Yeah,
more
they
than
messed with Harrison's slider curveball. He used to throw a nice hard slider, and they kind of gave him that slurve. And I just like to see Harrison throw more of his hard stuff, because it definitely he regressed. So, and he's got to get better command. He's got to get better command for sure.
And there's an argument out there that Burns is more of a power pitcher, power sinker, ground ball pitcher, and that Fried is a fly ball pitcher. But you got to remember, again, what's our ballpark? Our ballpark is a big ballpark. So if Fried throws a bunch of 280-foot outs, who cares? I'll take it. I think Max Fried is right there with Corbin Burns. That's just my opinion. I've seen Fried when he's completely healthy, and he's absolutely filthy.
You guys like the new band? You sound a little happier sound, guys.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Big day for the San Francisco Giants.
Might not be over. We might have to come back on in a couple hours. Who knows?
That's right, guys.
Surprise me. Give Dan another Christmas present.
We'll see what happens. Keep it right here, NorCal Sports Network, where we got you covered. We'll be back on live if anything breaks tonight with the Giants, or anything major happens in free agency. If we get a Juan Soto sighting, we'll be ready to go live. If we get a Corbin Burns type signing, we'll break it down for you. But I know somebody, I think it was Larry, said he liked Charlie Morton. If the Giants sign Charlie Morton, there'll be no breaking live for that, guys. No breaking live, but this one warranted it. So we want to thank you guys for being here. We got you covered. As soon as the news comes out, we got it here first on NorCal Sports Network. Go enjoy some college football. And I don't think we'll be back tonight unless something breaks. We don't have anything planned for. We did have an 8 o'clock plan for tonight live, but 2.5 hours of this, we're good for the day. So you guys have a great day. For Los, for Lou, for Larry earlier. So long, everybody. Oops, I got to hit my other. Let me hit my other screen here. I got one more screen I want to show you. Forgot to hit that out. Enjoy the band, everybody. Take care. Thanks again.